You ready, Laura?
Yes.
Okay, thank you. Good evening, everyone, and welcome to the regular meeting of the Mayor and Council of the Borough of Englewood Cliffs. Today is June 8th, 2022. It's 7:04 p.m. I call this meeting to order. The meeting's being called to order virtually. Every member of the public will have an opportunity to be heard. If the governing body members, Luciano, De Gregorio, Katrubis, can turn your cameras on so the public can see you, that would be appreciated. If not, what can I say? They won't see you, and you're probably seeing them. The next item of business is the statement of compliance. Ms. Borchers, would you please read that into the record?
Adequate notice of this meeting has been provided in accordance with the Open Public Meetings Law, PL 1975, Chapter 231, setting forth the time, date, and place and purpose of this public meeting through a legal notice published in the record, posted on the borough website and on the bulletin board.
Okay, thank you. Can I have a roll call, please?
Mayor Kranjak?
Here.
Member De Gregorio?
I'm here.
Member Luciano?
Present.
Member Park?
Yes.
Member Begats?
Yes.
Member Kapsaskis? He's absent.
No.
Council President Katrubis?
Yes.
Attorney Mensch?
Here.
Interim Administrator Ratz?
Here.
Thank you, everyone, for joining. Ms. Borchers and Mr. Rass, I know you've had a long day already, so I appreciate you being here. And I know you're still in Englewood Cliffs and you both have drives home. So I hope the council will be cognizant of that and be efficient tonight so we can get out of here at a decent hour after we do all our business. With that said, please rise for this flag salute. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. Thank you, everyone. We, just by way of update, we had 18 positive COVID cases so far this week. Last week we had 21. As far as I know, no one is gravely ill. And unfortunately, it's something that we have to live with. Next item on our agenda is the closed session. Could we have a motion to go into closed session, please?
I'll make the motion.
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Anyone opposed?
No.
Okay, we're going to go into closed session now, right after Ms. Borchers reads into the record the appropriate language and text for us to do that. If possible, we will try to be back within 45 minutes, and the public will be put into a waiting room. Thank you.
Whereas the Mayor and Council of the Borough of Englewood Cliffs has deemed it necessary to go into closed session to discuss certain confidential matters, and whereas the minutes of this closed session will remain confidential as permitted under the Open Public Meetings Act, or shall be released when there is no further need for confidentiality, as authorized by the Borough Attorney. Now therefore be it resolved that the Mayor and Council of the Borough of Englewood Cliffs will go into closed session for the following matters as permitted under Open Public Meetings Act, NJSA 10:4-12, for 800 Sylvan and affordable housing related litigations, updates on all litigations, and personnel.
Okay, thank you. Ms. Borchers, can you place everyone from the public into the waiting room and leave with us Matt and the representative from GMA LLC.
Whatever is on that invoice that was sent to us back then is what the amount is.
I thought we had a discussion. We were going to look at all different stuff, the ad revenue. I mean, all that other stuff that was going to be looked at, and we all supported putting plaques up, but I think, $11,000 for 9 plaques, there was questions that were raised about the cost and how was it going to be supported. I mean, I agree with you that, what we should support, but we've supported, we supported a lot for the Little League, and we need to. But I mean, plaques and $11,000. I just want to know how much. I thought we had agreed that we were going to do a little more investigation as the cost and possibly a cost sharing and because it seems like there's a lot of stuff that happens over there that we don't have information on that we should be asking about.
So was he looking for approval tonight, Mr. Katrubis, or is this something that?
This is for approval of the funding. I think that they've already paid for 6. I'm trying to search my email now. They've already paid for 6 of the 9 plaques. They're waiting for the other 3. But
So do they want us to pay for 3, or are they paying for the
No,
6
no,
and
no.
want us to pay them back for the 6 that they paid for?
no. It's for the full amount for all 9 plaques.
Okay, I don't see it set up as a resolution. I see it's only as a discussion tonight. So maybe what we should do is get the information for the next meeting. Council wouldn't know what they're voting on right now in terms of hard dollars.
No. And what kind of plaques it is, I don't know what it is.
They're bronze plaques. We got a thing, Rivka, a few months ago about the design of the plaques. See, and that's another thing, and for your benefit too, when this stuff comes back before us, we shouldn't say, it was sent to you last week. We should have a packet on the day of the meeting so that, you have everything. This is something that went back. Now it's coming to us now, and we have to bring up things that, okay, we got the revised agenda today and a couple of days ago. We always get it never, 5 days before finalized, which that's just the way government works. But I mean, I would have raised questions before instead of right now, but we need to know. I mean, what's $11,000 for 9 plaques or whatever it is? I think there's additional questions that need to be answered that we thought we had raised before.
Yeah, we agree that there are questions. So maybe, Mr. Katrubis, I know you know Coach Billy. If it's possible during a meeting, maybe you could text him to join us. And
let me see if I can get him to text him to join this evening before the meeting is up.
And then he could, whenever he comes in, we'll give him the floor.
Well, if he could tell us what the revenue is from the ads on the fences, he could tell us what their revenue is from baseball that they get with the registrations.
Okay, yes.
Maybe he has to prepare himself for that.
Thank you, Mayor. Thank you, Mayor, for trying to interrupt me while I'm in the middle of speaking.
But
he's not going to be able to do that in a phone call tonight, is my point.
He knows this stuff, okay? And you've already said it all. So Mr. Katrubis is going to reach out to him. He's going to join us if he can. And then we'll try to see what we can do to help.
Okay.
Next up is reimbursement travel expenses. Mr. Rath, did you want to speak to that?
Well, yeah, this came up at a council meeting, 2 council meetings ago, I believe. And I indicated I'd get back to council. As I put in the memo with this, is that for right now, I'd simply, if council wants to move forward, I would recommend that it simply be a reimbursement for gas or mileage expense for personal vehicles, and that the personal vehicles be any travel be approved in advance of the actual travel taking place. So no stipends, nothing along those lines, simply just a reimbursement based on a mileage expense. So,
and how do you base the mileage, by the way?
It'll be
what, the government? You have a formula?
It'll be the government. It'll be the federal government reimbursement rate.
Okay.
Well, that's the rate. I think she was asking, how are you going to determine the mileage?
No, not this. This year, the person will give you the amount of mileage.
Okay, so the rate is set by the IRS.
No, the rate, yes.
Yeah, that's set by the IRS.
Okay.
Federal rate. So, Mr. Rath, are you looking for a motion to approve this?
Well, not to approve it. I would just want, because you don't have a resolution before you, what I would like is just a sense of council to move forward if that's what you want to do along these lines. I'll work on preparing a policy and a resolution for the next meeting.
Okay.
Any council members? Mr. Park, what do you think?
I have a point, but I understand every year they are updating. I spoke about this one.
Okay, anybody else?
But yeah, that's the question.
Okay, so, Mr. Rouse, I guess go ahead and create a resolution for the next meeting.
Okay, it'll be part of your personnel policy. The resolution will reflect an amendment to the personnel policy.
Okay.
And I'll work with Mr. Bunch on that.
So then that'll be opening it up to if someone goes and brings mail to the post office in their personal vehicle, they're going to be able to.
No.
I mean, the town's only a half mile wide and 1 mile long. Whatever.
No. It would be, council member, you could do what you want. I mean, you can, but I would not open it up to that. Like I said, it would require prior approval from the appropriate authority, which would be the department head, division head, whomever that would be.
Okay, thank you, sir.
Yes.
Thank you.
Okay, Mr. Katrubis, could you give us an update on the park renovation that we speak to from time to time? I know you're arranging a meeting or a visit somewhere.
Is he here?
I think he's trying to get up with the other gentleman, maybe.
Yeah.
Oh,
Okay.
no, I'm sorry about that. I didn't realize I was muted. Yeah, we're arranging a meeting, I believe either Friday or Saturday, to talk about 4 different drawings. I think we've narrowed it down to that. We're still about 30,000 feet in the air, as Andy would describe it, and looking down. But the good news is that we're exploring a lot of different options, and we've narrowed it down to about 4 renderings. After that, after this meeting, I feel pretty confident that we should start closing in on more of the specifics, whether it's lights and things of that nature. But now it really comes down to the overall plan of the park, how many fields, meaning whether there's 2 or 3 baseball diamonds, and we're mulling over all those ideas, and hopefully we'll get that narrowed down. And I feel pretty confident that we should have a drawing to the council at the very least after this meeting, I hope.
This is the Johnson Park, Councilman?
Say again, Glenn?
Johnson Park? Johnson,
Yeah.
Yes. Thank you.
Yes.
Okay, thanks for doing that. I fully support renovating the park. And by the way, our town is more than a mile long, Mr. Luciano. It's closer to 3. The next
Thanks
thing
for that update, Mayor.
The next,
Mr.
you
Mayor,
you got to be
Mayor, I'm
truthful.
sorry. On that subject is in regards to the council's November vote on a temporary dog park. I just had a conversation right before tonight's meeting with Andy, and he's going to bring that up at your meeting, Council President,
Yes.
to discuss as well too. Because I didn't know how far along you guys were. I think it's great. He's just going to bring it up in regards to the location of a temporary dog park, and then we need a cost estimate on that.
Yeah, we're mulling over a temporary dog park, the difference between if a plan were to get passed, is it even worth moving forward with the temporary dog park just to save the few $1,000s that it would cost. But I do know that the plans that we're really looking to turn out something really fantastic for the public.
Thank you.
Okay, next up are minutes for approval. The first one, can we do, well, let's do them separately. Save some time, actually, in the long run. July 14th, 2021, closed session. Have a motion to approve that?
I will make a motion. Second.
Have a roll call?
Member Di Gregorio?
No.
Member Luciano?
No.
Member Park?
Yes.
Member Begats is,
Yes.
No, I don't think you can vote on them.
you're not at the meeting.
Yes.
Okay.
Okay, Councilman Katrubis,
Yes.
Mayor, it's 2-2.
Yes. July 14, 2021 regular session. Do you have a motion to
Oh,
approve them?
this.
I will make motion.
Yeah, a second, please. Can someone second?
Second.
I need, Yeah.
She can't. She wasn't there.
She can-
I think she could second.
She can
Oh, I'm sorry.
Yeah,
I'm
she can
sorry.
second.
Okay, I
Okay.
apologize.
Yeah, could I have a roll call?
Member Di Gregorio?
No.
Member Luciano?
No.
Why not a-
Member Park?
Yes.
Councilmember Katurbis?
this is for July 14th.
Yes, the regular session.
I'm going to have to abstain.
It doesn't pass then.
That's a good observation, Mary.
I know, sorry.
Can
my
someone
mic-
please mute Mrs. O'Shea?
Does, Mr. Mensch, does that count as a no and a tie or not? What are we doing tonight?
Well, it's
Looks
Mayor,
to
I'll
me
be
like
honest
three
with
no's.
I think it's three, isn't it? Three
Was to me, the mayor's having
no's
difficulty
from
counting.
Councilman Di Gregorio, Councilman Luciano, and we had an abstention.
Oh, I see, okay, yeah, that's fine, all right.
I don't know about 11, 10, 22. Is that supposed to be 11, 10, 21?
I'm
or are we
sorry, yes,
still
it's
in the future?
21.
Could I have a motion to approve regular session November 10th, 2021 minutes?
I'll make the motion.
November 10,
It's
2022?
21, Councilman Park.
Wow, this is wrong.
It's not, it's 21.
Oh, okay.
It's
Okay,
not funny, Mr. Luciano, it's just a little mistake.
Okay, second.
Yeah, it's a funny situation. I just said the same thing. I can laugh at it. He'd say he repeated the same thing I did.
Well, that's fine, okay.
So don't try to make something bigger out of it
Why
than
don't
it
you turn
was.
your camera on, Mr. Luciano, so we can see?
Why don't
you?
you turn your camera off, Mayor?
It's like stalker material that you're watching.
Whatever.
us, but
Just
we
move
can't see
on.
you.
You keep your
Okay,
commentary
so
to
is there,
yourself.
Laura, Ms.
Yes,
Borchers,
we
was
do the
there?
roll call.
Go ahead.
Member Di Gregorio?
No.
No.
You have to
Member
call
Park?
him. No, Ms.
Yes.
Borchers, Ms. Borchers, you have to call him and then he has to answer.
Member Luciano? Member Luciano?
He's a no vote. He's not voting, so go on.
Member Park?
Yes.
Councilman Katurbis?
Gentlemen, can you offer me some color on why you're voting no to this?
Yeah, that's what I wanted to ask.
Yeah, that's what they're being told to do.
Yeah. Mrs. Geiger and Carol McMorrow advised me not to vote on it.
No, seriously, Glenn.
Yeah, Glenn, I really like to know.
I have no public comment.
These are minutes.
Did you vote, Mr. Luciano? Your name was called and there was silence. Mr. Luciano, simple question. Your name was called and we heard silence from you. Okay, Ms. Borchers, just reflected that he did not vote.
I think Mr. Mensch knows how I voted, so you can say whatever you want there, Mario.
Well, why don't you just answer a simple question, Mr.
I already
Luciano?
answered. I already voted.
You're
So
like
you
literally
you
obstructing
can make your
government.
propaganda all you want. Just
No,
move on.
the problem with what you
Just
did
move
before,
on.
the problem with what you
Just
did
move
before,
on.
you have to wait
Just
for your
move
name
on.
to be called, and
Just
then you
move
vote.
on. You know I vote in second. You heard my vote.
And what
Move
was your
on.
vote?
Move on, Mayor.
What was your vote?
Move on, Mayor.
Laura,
Are you
when did
unable
you
to
send these minutes to
articulate
us?
your
Move
vote?
on,
Can you tell
Mayor.
me?
I sent him out, I think it was
All
yesterday.
right, just reflect that he did not vote.
Move on, Mayor.
Member
Excuse me.
Katurbis?
It's so
Yeah, yeah.
uncooperative, Mr. Luciano.
Move on, Mayor.
Even for a simple.
Can you re-forward them to me, please?
Move on, Mayor.
I'm sorry, what was that?
He wants.
Can you please re-forward?
Sure. Did you vote
I'd
yes
like
or
to
no?
make- Can I make a motion to table the minutes to the end of the meeting?
Okay.
Wait,
Well, you can
which one are you
table
tabling though, Mr. Trubus? We
Oh,
already
oh,
the
voted.
last one because no one read them and we're voting yes for them. But So that's a good reason why you vote no on, because we just
Mr.
got them
You're not Mr.
yesterday
Katrubis.
and didn't
I'm
have a
Mr.
chance to read
Luciano,
it.
and no one's asking you anything. I'm asking Mr. Katrubis.
Well, I answered my own answer.
Just for purposes of note keeping and record keeping and minute keeping, Mr. Katrubis, are you just referring to?
All of them, please, if you don't mind.
But we already voted on.
We voted on.
Mr. Katrubis.
Well,
we
whatever's
voted
voted on,
two of them.
whatever has been voted on has been voted on. I'm not gonna-
Well, no, you're on the last one. You made a motion to table. I'll second the table.
Mr. Katrubis, are you tabling the last one only?
Is this November 11th?
Yes, it
Ms.
is.
Borchers, you need to mute everyone else.
I'm a little bit in the blind here, so I need a little bit of assistance. Is November 11th the only thing we have left?
People,
Yes.
Yes, Tim, it is.
Is-
Ms. Borchers, please,
Everyone
you
is-
have to get control of the Zoom. There's
They all-
someone XX. All right. So
He's
keep them
muted.
muted.
Councilman Katrubis, because the voting has started, you can't make a motion in the middle of the voting to table. So you can abstain, and
All
I
right,
think that
I'll-
will have the effect of essentially the minutes won't pass. And then at some point in time, either at this meeting or a future meeting, if you want to remake a motion on the minutes, then you can make that motion.
Yeah,
Thank you,
you
Matt.
know what? I'd like to change my vote to the first one to an abstention. All the minutes to an abstention, if you don't mind.
No, we can't do that, guys.
Can't do it?
We do that all the time.
No. That
We
vote.
do that all the time. You can't
I'm sorry, Mr.
selectively pick
Luciano,
and
that-
choose.
Mr. Luciano, stop. That
That's
vote.
what you do all the
You
time.
can't do that. That vote was taken. And
Of
it
course
was
you can,
closed.
but you do it all the time when you want people to
No, I
change their
don't
vote.
actually.
You do it
Again.
all the time.
All right, since I do it all the time, Mr. Luciano, and since you want to be the problem child tonight, tell me when I did it. Tell
Let's
me.
see. I don't want to pick it, but when specific
You're not
council
able
members,
to, are
how about
you?
when Councilman Farrow voted
You're
no
just not
because he
able
didn't know
to.
what he was voting on, and you asked him again,
That's
Councilman
a different
Farrow,
issue.
are you
The
sure
vote
about
was-
that?
that's a
10
different
minutes
issue.
after the vote.
Mr.
How about
Luciano,
that? Is that
that's
a good example?
distinction.
Is
That's
that a
a
good
distinction
example?
with a distinction.
Is that a good example?
No, it's not.
Is that a
actually.
good example?
No, because
Is
the
that a
vote
good
was-
example?
We have to
Let
move
me have the
on.
floor. You guys
Right.
stop. That vote was still going on, and Mr.
It
Farrow
wasn't going on. The vote was
This
already
vote was
reported,
done
and we've gone
10
back.
minutes
It's happened
ago.
many times.
This vote
Mr.
was
Mensch,
done
are we
10
allowed to
minutes
make
ago.
mistakes? I just want to know if we're allowed to make
Of
mistakes.
course we are.
Oh.
Mr. Luciano, will you just stop? That vote was closed. Then what stops anybody from going back a year? like
What
right
makes
now
you
and
from
saying,
changing
You know
it?
what? The settlement with 800 Sylvan was not good. Let's revote it right now.
How about ratifying
Wanna revote
Cadwalader
that?
and their $1 million
I'll revote
bill
that in a
6
heartbeat.
months later? So
Under
take
your
your head
theory,
out of
you
the
could
sand
revote
there,
that.
Mario.
Under your theory, we could revote the 800 Sylvan settlement. We could revote the Chaffee pension. We could revote
We
everything.
could.
It
You
doesn't
would
work
love
that
to
way
do
in the
that,
real
wouldn't
world,
you?
Mr.
Why don't we just
Luciano.
move on? Let Matt
Mr.
answer the
Katrubis,
question and
please.
move on.
What do you want? Do you want just the last one to be tabled?
Well, I was hoping it all could be tabled, but it seems I can't change my vote. So
Now,
Listen,
Tim, why don't you speak up, Tim? Because you can support and say, you know what, we've done this
Guys,
many
if you
times,
do
have
things
gone
like
back.
this-
I agree with you. That's why I'm
Councilman
asking.
Farrell, but you're sitting there not saying anything and letting Mario
Councilman
just
Farrell
make it
was-
seem like
But-
I don't know what I'm
Mr.
talking about.
Luciano, listen.
That's
very,
not what I'm
very
saying,
carefully.
Glenn. I'm asking to change my
Guys,
vote. I mean,
guys, stop.
I know, but when
Stop.
I'm saying that, you know what, Mayor? We've done this many times. You sit there and don't say anything. You know as well as I do, and David and everybody that's here knows that we've done it in the past. And you let him sit here
No, it's
and
not
make it
true.
seem like we don't do
Mr.
this, and you
Luciano,
don't say
if you
anything.
recall,
What?
That's
you
what's
just
pathetic.
Stop talking.
no,
for a minute.
look,
Stop,
I just
guys.
don't want to
Guys,
get caught
stop.
up in the arguing. I just want Matt to answer
I know.
the
So
question.
let
and move
Mario
on.
say what he wants, even though it's false, because you don't
But
want
I
to argue.
can't. I just don't want to argue with
It's
anybody.
all right, that's
Farrell
good.
was still voting in a vote that was taking place. This vote has
That's a
closed.
lie, Mario,
Mr.
just like
Luciano,
everything
that's
else
a
you say. There's a
distinction
lie.
that
You're a
you're
lie.
unable to comprehend.
It's
and
a lie.
I'm sorry for that.
And
I'm
Matt,
sorry
Tim, you
for
don't have to say
And I'm
anything.
sorry
You can
that
just
you're not
let him
able to
say that
follow
I'm in
logic.
fantasy land, but it's all
I
right.
just don't want to argue with anybody, Glenn. I just want
It's
Matt
all
to
right.
answer
Let
my question.
everybody. No one can say anything. I'll be the only one that
Those two
stands
votes
up and
have
speaks the
closed.
truth.
Mr. Luciano, you don't have the floor. You're out of order. Will you just stop? Mr. Katrubis had second thoughts about a vote. I don't know what to do with that other than tell him that you could abstain in this one or recuse, whatever you want. But those two votes are done.
Conclusion, and could we ask our borough attorney, please, to weigh in?
You
Thank
just
you.
did.
Yes. So we're overcomplicating the process here. I think Councilman Luciano, what you're referring to with kind of changing your vote is immediately after as the voting was taking place, somebody went back and says, "Oops, hold on, I messed up." I think the mayor's point here is that we're now like 3 three resolutions on, so I don't think it's a matter of just changing the vote. That said, there is nothing under Robert's rules that says you can't undo a resolution that has no other practical effect. So if Councilman Katrubis wants to make a motion to unapprove the July 14th, 2021 minutes that were approved 10 minutes ago, there's
Mr.
no-
Mensch, that's fine, but
there's
Mr.
no-
Mensch, under that theory, can we unapprove the settlement with 800 Sylvan?
no, because that has
No, you filed
practical
lawsuits.
effects.
Why?
Yeah.
Why, Mr. Mensch? Why?
Why? Because that issue has other impacts. In other words,
Can we unapprove all the corrupt decisions that the 2019, 2020 council made? Can we do that too? 'Cause I'd
No.
love to.
You know, you're an attorney and you really sound like
I would love
really
to do
you're
that
in
also,
outer
Mr.
space.
Mensch. Mr. Mensch, what you're doing right now is you're creating more litigation for this town.
no,
And I know you're-
On a resolution to approve minutes, you're really
Yeah.
unbelievable.
You've been
So-
on 15 minutes.
So let's just continue with the vote, and then
Okay, go ahead.
is it my vote?
Yes, it is.
I'm going to abstain on this one,
There you go. Let's move
and
on.
I'd like to make a motion
Is
to.
that one done? What's the result of that vote, please?
Oh.
We have 2 noes, 1 yes, 1 abstention.
That's 3-1, Mayor, if you can't count.
I could count pretty well. I also actually passed the CPA exam.
I know, but you remind us that every meeting. You should give us that little grin too, because you're so proud of yourself.
Well, see, that's another thing. Your camera's not on, but mine is, and yours.
And I got a big smile just like you, like that little chipmunk
I
smile you
can't
got
see
right
your
there.
smile. Are you doing something that you don't want us to see you doing?
I
now?
am.
Is that why your camera's not on?
I am. I have my hand up in the air and I don't want you to take a picture.
Let's
So
go.
I'd like to make a motion to withdraw the resolution that approved the previous minutes that I voted yes to.
Second it. Let's take a vote. Let's move on.
I don't
All in
understand.
favor? Aye. We'll move on.
Can you explain that? Just explain what you're doing. Are you revoking the prior? resolution?
Yes.
I
he's
voted.
removing
I
the
voted. I
approval
voted
of
yes
the
to minutes. I voted yes to a set of minutes. I made a mistake, and I'd like to make a motion to revoke that.
Somebody explain
I'll
to me
second
why you against proving it?
This looks very unprofessional, guys.
It is it does look very unprofessional. Why am I? Because those were very contentious minutes. I haven't had an opportunity to really scrutinize them just yet, and I want to make sure I know what I'm voting on.
That's fine. That's a good excuse.
But we've had those.
And we have to
for
know.
a while. We've had those drafted for a while.
And
I agree with you. Yeah, I agree with you, but you know,
Okay.
my
You got a
plate is
motion
very
in a
full.
second. Let's take a vote.
There were certain comments made by Mayor Kranjak that were redlined that should remain in those minutes. So let's take a vote. Thank you.
I don't think that's true, Mr. DeGregor. You're making that up.
Of
Again-
course we are.
Again,
We
you're
have a
making
copy
things
of
up.
it. We'll let the people.
You're making
see it.
things up. So, Mr. Katrubis, is your motion to just revoke all these minutes?
Revoke the first one because the other two didn't pass, right? So it's
Right.
just the first one.
Second,
I already seconded it, but Mario's asleep at the keys.
I'm not the minute taker. We have a closer.
Can we just repeat what exactly we're doing here, please?
They're revoking.
first set of minutes.
They're revoking 7/14/2021 closed session.
Okay. Councilman Di Gregorio?
yes.
Councilman Luciano?
Yes, to rescind them.
Councilmember Park?
We're not rescinding, we're revoking.
Whatever word you want to use, Mario, you know what we're doing. So you just gotta throw your comment in there because
There
you're
is
so
a
much
difference.
smarter than everybody
There is
else.
a difference. That's why the English language exists.
Well, thank you. Buy me a dictionary for Christmas, please.
Please be quiet, please.
Councilmember Park?
You are really, our council members are not the professional way. I really, disappointed. Every meeting, we have to look at ourselves. This is a really professional way. Really very bad. Anyhow, no.
Councilmember Begats? You can vote on that.
I cannot
Council-
vote on it.
Council President Katrubis?
Yes.
Well, she could vote on the revocation.
Is that a legal opinion?
She could vote on the revocation
Is that a legal opinion?
because she's here for the revocation. She
Is
wasn't.
that a
here for
legal
minutes.
opinion?
Councilmember Begats?
Can I?
Yes, you can vote on the revocation because it's not, you don't have to be at that meeting to vote on the revocation.
I agree, Councilwoman.
I'll abstain. I'll abstain. I want to vote on it.
That's three yes, 1 no, 1 abstention. This passes.
It's a yes.
Next is
Resolution, payment of voucher.
payment of vouchers. Okay.
Laura, you guys are not muted.
Oh, no, we're just saying what the next. on
I'm
the-
just letting you know in case you're
Right,
having a
thank you.
conversation.
Thanks.
Where are we going next? Is that it? Motion to adjourn, or what are we doing?
But
You're muted, Mario.
Mayor, you're muted. Okay.
Oh, Mr. Rath, is total 1,887,383 and 1 cent?
I
For the
have,
payment of vouchers,
yeah, what have
Yeah,
you,
what's the total?
it's 1,900,047.61.
Okay, so just have the record reflect that. Is there a motion?
I want to make a motion.
Second.
A roll call?
Councilmember Di Gregorio,
No.
Councilmember Luciano,
You don't want to pay people, Mr. DiGregorio?
I'll abstain.
Councilmember Park,
Yes.
Councilmember Begets,
Yes, if we have the money in the bank.
Council President
We do.
Katrubis.
Yes.
It passes.
The next up is consent agenda. All consent agenda items will be enacted with a single motion. Any items requiring discussion will be removed from the consent agenda. So let me start off this way. Is there any item on the consent agenda from 22-134 through 22-142 that someone wants removed?
I would like to know what 137 is.
Did you read it?
Oh, here, I'll read it for you in case you don't know. Affirmation of new part-time finance clerk hire. Did I get that right?
Did you
I'd like to
actually
know
read-
what that is. So who's
Did
that
you read the
for?
resolution though? There's a resolution that goes with it. It's pretty self-explanatory.
Well, why don't you read it for us? Because I never got it.
No, I
If I did,
don't-
I didn't see it.
You know what? The one thing I'm not going to do for you is read to you
Okay.
the bedtime story.
Then I'd like to remove, then I'll just mark my vote down, no now for all of it. It's fine.
Okay, because all you had to do is actually read it. It's 3 paragraphs long.
That's good.
So Glenn, can I
Get it,
speak
Tim,
on that
that's all
one?
right. Nah, that's all right.
All right, we'll remove that one. 137, we'll remove. Mr. Katubis, did you want to say something?
Yeah, it's to support the finance department. Miss Elizabeth Kazika is all alone down there. She's been at some point we didn't have a CFO. She took on that role. She's taken on every single role within there. That role was previously filled, and that person had abruptly resigned. And she's in dire need of support. And she's been asking for support for several months now. And we were finally able to get her that relief. And I sincerely hope that the council approves it, because she's been doing, in my opinion, she's been doing a really great job for the borough, and we should give her all the support that she needs. And perhaps Mr. Raths can fill in on anything that I may have.
no, you've done a wonderful job, Council President. The
So-
thing is that you budgeted for this position, you advertised for the position, and we have somebody starting. I believe it's maybe as early as tomorrow, but it'd be the first of
tomorrow,
next
if
week.
I'm not mistaken.
Yeah, tomorrow.
Thank you.
And so the question is the person's already moving into the position, starting the position. I understand that council likes to be notified and likes to have input in there. And that's why I created a resolution, which I've done in other communities, affirming the individual in the part-time hire.
That was so easy.
So
Thank you
we are
very much. I'm
voting after
glad that
the
everybody can answer me but the mayor.
So,
Hey.
Mr. Luciano, did you want to leave it on the consent agenda, or did you want to remove it? That's all I care about right now.
Well, once my question was answered, and I'm glad you care about
It was-
something, is it can stay on there, but you can
It
take
was a
off
yes or no question.
35,
So- okay.
and
All right,
you
so-
can take off 39 for me,
What do you want off?
35, Also
135.
on 34, who is this new public defender?
What, did
No
you want-
resumes, no anything?
You had
Hold
resumes
on.
from her months
Hold
ago.
on, hold on. Let me jump in on the public defender part. We appointed a public defender 60 days ago, and we went through the same thing. Nobody knew anything about them, et cetera, et cetera.
Right.
And I said, instead of leaving the borough without having a public defender, why don't we just appoint them for 60 days,
Correct.
which will give the council an opportunity to fill the to ask the appropriate questions to fill the position. I have asked. I believe that I have asked the appropriate questions. I have no issues with this person taking the.
Councilman, is this the same lady that we approved 60 days ago?
Absolutely, yes.
Okay, that's all I wanted to know. So the 135 and
What do you say 135? What do you want to do with 135, Mr. Luciano?
Mr. Kranjak, I'd like to have that removed from the consent agenda so that we could vote on that separately if that's
What
clear
else?
enough for you.
What else? Anything else? Anybody? Anything else?
Yeah, 139. Like I said before, which I don't think you wrote down, so I just want to make sure that you got that one too.
All right, whenever you're finished.
I would like 134 to be removed.
We probably could have just done them one at a time right now and been done.
Well, we could have, but you guys are, well, you also had an opportunity to read these before. You didn't do that. So let's just do our work now in front of the public. What else, Mr. Di Gregorio?
We should always do our work in front of the public.
Why are you interrupting, Mr. Di Gregorio?
Because we should always do what we.
Let
work
Mr.
in
Di
front of the public.
Gregorio speak. You had enough floor.
Well, you made a comment, so I wanted to respond to your comment.
Please let Mr. Di Gregorio speak so we can get through this agenda.
You should practice what you preach.
I run the meeting.
Not very well.
You don't have the floor, sir, and you're in violation of Robert's Rules of Order and our bylaws.
141, please. 134 and 141.
Why don't we just
Okay,
do them
so
all?
we're going to, I need a motion to approve a consent agenda for everything except 134, 135, 139, and 141. Can I have that motion, please?
Want to make a motion?
Can I have a second?
Second.
Okay, can I have a roll call?
Councilmember Di
That's
Gregorio.
142.
140.
You know what? We should be doing these all separately, just to cut out the confusion. This is
We're in the middle of a vote, Mr. Di
Well, you didn't
Gregorio.
ask for
Whatever your
discussion, so
email
what's
or text you're getting
142?
from your people, just stop.
What's 142?
We have a motion and we have a second. Can I
And we
have a
needed
roll
discussion.
call?
But you need discussion.
We had discussion for the last 20
So
minutes.
what's 142?
I need clarity.
Can I have a roll call, please? Ms. Borges, go ahead. We gotta get through this.
What's 142?
Roll call.
What's 142?
Call it, please.
What's 142?
Member Di
Read it.
Gregorio.
Authorize.
I
Yeah, but
need,
who is that for?
You can read it.
I did read it. Who's it for?
Ms. Borges, have the vote, please. They're just wasting our time now.
I want an
Member Di
answer.
Gregorio.
Dasty. It's for Dasty.
It's how difficult that was,
Mr.
isn't
Di
it?
Gregorio, how do you vote?
I would like to be clear, and I've got my notes here. What are we voting on? Could you please
I
help?
just told you. All right. Continue to vote. It's clear to him. He's just playing games. Go ahead, Ms. Luciano.
Excuse me, Matt.
No.
Mr. Mensch, I'd like to.
No, continue. Stop interrupting, Mr.
No.
Gregorio. Really, we're not going to do this all night. Continue with the vote.
Member Di Gregorio.
He voted. He didn't vote. Mr. Luciano voted no. Continue with the vote, please.
You are violating my.
No, I'm not actually.
Yes.
I'm not. I'm not. But when you're wasting my time and everyone else's time,
Yeah.
I'm not violating anything.
And I demand clarity.
Go ahead. Go demand it somewhere else. Wrong
I
hand.
would like to ask.
That's our mayor. The
Please,
mayor will
please
not
have a roll
explain
call.
anything
Please
to our
continue with
council
the vote.
members. Just take a vote.
We've had enough discussion. Let's not do this.
The mayor's decided we've had enough discussion.
We've had enough discussion, guys. Go
David,
ahead. Continue with the roll call.
130, David, 136, 137, 138, 140, 142.
136, 137.
No. That's not what we're voting on, Mr. Mensch. Listen carefully. Everything
134.
except 134, 135, 139, and 141. Mr. Di Gregorio failed to vote. Mr. Luciano voted no.
Five.
Reporters, please continue
All right,
with the
look.
vote.
My God,
Member
Yeah,
Begats?
now I'm confused, okay?
I'm
So
confused.
be careful about this.
That's the way the mayor runs the
It's a
meeting. Very
consent- No,
confusing.
because you guys create confusion,
Very
and that's the
confusing.
problem.
The mayor
And
runs
no
it
one
very
can follow
confusing.
anything
Very,
because no one's
very,
focused.
very
That's
confusing.
nobody.
Do you know
You're
what?
Stop.
Very confusing.
We are voting, Ms. Begets, on everything except 134, 135, 139, and 141. Everything except those. Those are
Yeah.
going to
You
get
love the
voted
way he
separately.
speaks condescending to you too.
We're going to vote on those separately.
Yes.
And I'm sorry that, it's confusion because Di Gregorio Luciano, that's what they're paid to do. Create confusion and stupidity wherever they go.
Name calling,
With the vote,
huh?
please.
Talk about stupidity.
Continue with the vote, please.
Member Katrubis.
Taking my vote seriously, and I want to know exactly what we're voting.
Mr. Di Gregorio, you're out of order. We're in the middle of a vote. You failed to vote. Mr.
Just leave it, David. It shows his ignorance, so just leave
Mr.
it.
Katrubis, please
Council
vote.
President Katrubis.
yes.
Please continue.
Well, that's it. What was the result of the votes
Mr.
there,
Parker?
Madam Clerk?
Well, I have right now as Councilman Di Gregorio's no vote. I have Luciano as no. I have Councilmember Park, Begets, and Katrubis as yes.
Okay, then let's
They
move on.
have a resolution to,
A resolution.
motion to approve Resolution 22-134. Appointment Public Defender Aileen Perez Likova, Esquire, and I thank her publicly for jumping in under the situation where our previous public defender unexpectedly passed away. And I appreciate her jumping in and taking care of our court for the last 60 days. Can I have a motion, please?
I'll make the motion.
Yes, second.
Can I have a roll call?
Member Di Gregorio,
No.
Member Luciano,
No.
Member Park,
Yes.
Member Begats,
Yes.
Council President Katrubis.
Yes.
It passes.
Thank you. Can I have a motion to approve Resolution 22-135, appointment of municipal clerk Laura Borchers.
I'll make the motion.
Second.
Councilmember Di Gregorio.
Discussion, wait.
I'm sorry.
Discussion, I don't know what changed from
All right.
last month to this month with the majority, but I did believe that I made the motion and David, Mr. Councilman Di Gregorio, seconded my motion at the last meeting, and for some reason it didn't go anywhere. And now all of a sudden it's back on, which I don't have, like, just confused as to maybe because I made the motion last meeting, but that's the only thing I had to say during discussion. Thank you.
That's really not relevant. Go ahead.
You're not relevant.
Councilmember Di Gregorio,
Yes.
Councilmember Luciano,
No.
Councilmember Park,
Yes.
Councilmember Begats,
Yes.
Councilmember Katrubis.
Yes.
It
Okay,
passes.
Resolution 137, affirmation of new part-time finance clerk hire. Have a motion?
We voted on it, no?
I thought we did too, but Mario will take it again.
I'm sorry, yes, we voted on that one. 139, 22-139, approval of the 2022-2023 liquor licenses. Give a motion.
I will
I'll
make
make the
motion.
Second.
Councilmember Di Gregorio,
Can we have a discussion, by the way?
Yeah.
We should, but you know.
What do you
Yeah,
want to talk
so-
about?
I'm curious to see what Glenn's issues are on this topic,
On what topic?
Liquor
on this vote.
licenses?
I mean, you wanted to vote on
I
it
want to
separately.
separate it, yeah, because I'm going to recuse myself.
Oh,
Oh, okay.
Is that a good enough?
No,
Is that a
I
good enough
thought
reason
maybe-
for you
I thought
to-
maybe you had an issue. I wanted to know what it was. I was curious.
That's my issue. I'm going to recuse myself from this vote.
Okay.
Councilmember Di Gregorio,
That's
Councilmember Luciano.
I recuse myself.
I'm sorry.
No, it's fine. She called
Yes.
you and then you're recused. You can't recuse.
And I answered the question. We don't need commentary from you.
No, you actually do because I chair.
No,
the
we
meeting.
don't.
Yeah, you do actually.
No, we don't.
You do actually.
No, we don't.
As long as I'm mayor, you need me.
No, we don't need you at all.
Yeah, I know, because you do so well without me. Go ahead.
We would do awesome without you.
Councilmember Park,
Yes.
Councilmember Begats,
yes.
Council President Katrubis.
Yes.
It passes.
22-141, authorize amendment to the temporary budget.
I will make motion.
We
Second.
just did it.
Yeah, I think we did that one.
Yeah, we did it.
That was part of the
141?
No, we didn't.
I think this was pulled by,
This was pulled.
Oh, okay. Sorry.
That one was pulled. So we have a motion and a second. Can I have a roll call?
Councilmember Di Gregorio,
No.
Councilmember Luciano,
No.
Councilmember Park,
Yes.
Councilmember Begats,
Yes.
Councilmember Petrubis.
Yes.
Okay, let the record reflect that Luciano and Di Gregorio voted no on.
The record
temporary budget.
self-evident.
Excuse me.
Record is
This is a
self-evident.
temporary budget that keeps. the
Record
council-
self-evident.
Mr. Luciano, please stop interrupting.
Record is self-evident.
It's not self-evident because you actually.
They just heard the vote.
Stop the government from functioning, okay? You and Di Gregorio both stopped the government from functioning. Thankfully, we have three
It
other
just
votes.
passed, didn't it? We didn't stop anything.
No, but you voted to
The
stop.
government
It
kept
says
working.
a lot about you.
Government kept working.
It
Right
says a lot
along.
about
Got
you,
the
guys.
vote in and it's done.
It says a lot about you. Okay,
Thank
adoption
you.
of
I'm glad it
ordinances.
does.
Okay, Ms. Borchers, I'm going to have to ask you to mute Mr. Luciano when he's interrupting me, and then we'll unmute him and he can say whatever he
And
wants.
Ms. Borges, I'd like for you
He's
to mute the
actually
mayor when he
interrupting
interrupts
and
me too,
interfering with
please.
the government's operation right now, okay?
But
If
that
you
has to be
cannot-
put, that
you
has to be
cannot
put to a
do
vote
this
of the council.
publicly. If we were in
Our
person,
bylaws
the
say you have
gavel
to
would
bring
be
it to a
going.
vote of the
Mr.
council.
Luciano, stop speaking.
Bring it
Unless
to a
you're
vote of the
recognized.
council.
Unless you are recognized, you are not to be heard from. Ask
Yeah, well,
the proper
that
way
doesn't work that
to be
way.
recognized. It does work that way. Maybe not in the playground that you go to every day and whatever you do, but this is the way it works. This is a meeting. We're all adults. You're the only person who has to hear himself talk over and over and over. This meeting would have been over an hour ago.
If you stop
okay?
talking.
We have to put up with your insanity.
Absolutely.
You are insipid.
Absolutely.
Okay. These are adoption of ordinances 22-05, maintenance of foreclosed homes. These were previously introduced, I believe. Is that correct?
Yes, it was.
And so we're approving them. And I think before we approve, we have to open to the public for each
Public
one of
hearing.
these. I can have a motion to open to the public for 22-05.
I'll make a motion.
Can I have a second?
Second.
All in favor of opening to the public for 2205, please say aye.
Aye.
All right. Anyone opposed? No. Anyone from the public wishing to be heard on 22-05, maintenance of foreclosed homes, please raise your hand. Mrs. O'Shea.
Yes, I'm glad to see that there's going to be some type of enforcement because the height of grass growing around some of these empty homes, whether they have a fence around them or not, is a disgrace. And the property maintenance man should be summoning these people because I know he does give it summonses to warnings or whatever to people when they're living in the houses and they have to correct it. And these people that are buying the houses on spec to tear them down have to take care of it, maintain the neighborhood. I'm very glad to see that this is going into place.
I saw the article in the paper recently about the mayor.
About the who?
About the mayor. You didn't see the article?
What about it?
the mayor?
Had nothing to do with foreclosed houses.
No.
Okay, because that's what we're talking about, I believe.
Oh, I think the article you're referring to is there's a resident with a car that's parked in their backyard for the last 2 years or 3 years. Okay.
I know.
Mr. Di Gregorio, would you like to say anything else about that?
No, I would
You
not.
raised it, so go ahead, say it.
The only thing I will say is that we have a mayor that hires lawyers to do investigations on people he doesn't like.
And that summons,
So
I'd
are
like
you
to
going
make
to
a
swear to
comment.
that? Because you're going to have to do that under oath, sir, at some point.
And that summons that you're talking about. that
Will
was
you do
issued
that, sir, Mr. Di Gregorio? You're
was-
going to have to swear to that
Was
under oath.
dismissed, wasn't it, Mayor?
And when you do swear to it under oath and you violate that oath, it's going to be perjury, okay? So you are going to stop lying right now, or you are going to perjure yourself in the future, because you're going to be asked about this not too long from now, okay? Welcome to the world that I live in, okay? What else would you like to talk about, Mr. Di Gregorio? Go ahead, read your text from Ms. Geiger.
This meeting would have been over a long time ago.
I know
if you
you're
get off your
incapable of
soapbox there,
thinking for
Mayor.
yourself. Go ahead.
You
read
didn't
what Ms. Geiger said.
pontificate. This meeting would have been over an hour ago.
Okay, anybody else? All right, can I have a motion to close the
Make the
public
motion.
portion? Mr. Di Gregorio's got himself into enough trouble. Is there a
Second.
second? All in
Second.
favor?
Yeah, you
Aye.
might get another
We have
open
a
request
motion.
at your
Mr.
job. there,
Luciano,
David.
you got to stop talking. You really don't have the floor. Can I have a motion to approve 22-05, maintenance of foreclosed homes, please?
Make the motion.
Do you have a second?
Second.
Have a roll call?
Councilmember Di Gregorio?
Yes.
I'm sorry, to say yes?
He
Yes.
mumbled. Yeah.
Thank you. Councilmember Luciano?
Yes, and let's wait for the mayor's editorialization of the
Next.
comment.
Next.
Member Park?
Yes.
Member Begats?
Yes.
Council President Katurbis?
Yes.
Have a motion to open to the public for 22-06,
Make the
amending
motion.
a list of solicitors, peddlers, and canvasser ordinance.
Make the motion.
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Okay, if there's anyone from the public who wishes to be heard just on that ordinance, 22-06,
Mayor,
please raise your hand.
can you tell us what the changes are?
I'm sorry, you're not the public. The public is.
I'm a council member, and I'm asking
No,
you.
the public.
If you know
the
what the
public is-
amending, the changes are to the ordinance, so that you can tell the public, so they're better prepared to ask questions.
The public has this, and you have it. I'm not here to give a tutorial to you, and you're also
Okay.
not part of the public.
The public,
If anyone from
I'm
the public-
not a member of the public.
I know you want it. You're not actually, not at the moment. You're part of the governing body right now, so you don't speak. Is there
Yeah,
anyone from the
okay.
public who wishes to speak to this? Okay, can I have a motion to close the public
So
portion?
now can you tell me what the,
Have a motion to close
what the
the public
changes are?
portion.
Make the
Second.
motion.
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
I have a motion to approve 22-06, please.
I will make motion.
Second.
Have a
I
roll
would like
call,
to
please.
ask any one of the people who motioned second, any one of my other fellow council members
Have a roll
that
call, please.
planned on voting on, well, there's discussion, right, Mayor?
Councilmember Di
Robert
No, we're
Gregorio.
Rules
not-
of Order?
There's no discussion at the
Rob,
moment.
what do you mean no
You
discussion?
already discussed this.
We didn't discuss it. You stopped me and said I wasn't a member of the public.
You said you wanted me to read it to you. I'm not
Let's
gonna
not waste
No,
time.
you said stop wasting time. Is that what you said,
No, so-
Councilwoman?
Glenn, what do you have to say about this ordinance? I'm curious what you have to say.
What I have a question. Since
Yes.
the ordinance didn't show us what the changes were, maybe, you know what? It's not wasting time. I think it's doing my due diligence to say, what were the changes on this?
What
And
to
if
do
that's
all that.
wasting time, then
could've
move
done this
on.
all
Because
day.
you know what? The mayor doesn't, the mayor wants us all to sit here and not say anything. And that's what you all do. And then it's me that raises the question, and everybody sits there and lets the mayor rail on it. But go ahead, it's fine. I
That's
want to know
absolutely
what
not
the
true.
changes are.
Well, what
The
is your
mayor knows.
question?
Let him explain to us what it is.
What is your question?
What are the change? It says amending the solicitors, peddlers, and canvassers ordinance. What are the changes?
So I'll have Borough Council answer that.
Yeah. So, Councilman, if you look at section 4-1.3, the underlying text there indicates that it says, or the added language is, or in the alternative, a vendor to be designated by the Borough of Englewood Cliffs to perform such fingerprinting. The issue here is that right now you have to get fingerprinted if you're going to attain a solicitor's, peddlers, or junk dealer's license. And under the way the borough ordinance reads, it basically has to be done in-house. And this allows the borough to contract with an outside vendor to provide the fingerprinting services.
See how easy that was? It would have taken a whole 30 seconds. I greatly
Have a roll
appreciate
call,
that
please.
answer. Thank
Have a
you.
roll call.
Councilmember Di Gregorio?
Yes.
Councilmember Luciano?
Yes.
Councilmember Park?
Yes.
Councilmember Begats?
Yes.
Council President Katurbis?
Yes.
Do I have a motion to open to the public for 22-07, amending fee schedule to recreation ordinance?
Yes, make the motion.
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Okay, if there's anyone from the public who wishes to be heard just on 22-07, please raise your hand. Mrs. O'Shea's hand is up. Mrs. O'Shea, you have the floor.
I'm sorry that I'm the only one speaking, but I
Don't be sorry, it's fine.
have a concern
As long as it's not me, you're good.
about the ordinance.
Exactly.
You know, a lot of time, a lot of decades have
Exactly.
passed since my children went through the summer camp program. And that was with a very nominal expense to the parents. And I saw that you were raising it from $350 to $600. Don't you think that will discourage the families in town from putting children in that program, especially if they have 2 or 3 children? I mean, that's a lot of money for them to pay. And I really don't think it's right. I think it's a little exorbitant for families with a couple of kids. It's really a lot of money. You know, if they're going to spend all that kind of money, they want to send them to day camp or Candy Mountain or something. You know,
Costs more money.
So I'd like to speak on that.
$600 a child. That's a lot of money. I think you really want to reconsider that.
So my children are all grown, so maybe Mr. Katrubis, you can speak to it.
Yeah. So, well, let me start with this. Is Ms. O'Shea finished? Because I don't want to cut in on her time.
Oh, that's fine.
Yeah, and the reason I say that is because I've lost track of what the private camps cost these days. So
Right. So, look, we haven't done. I and the rec director have spent a considerable amount of time. I know that the rec director has spent far more time than I have, and I commend him on the job that he did, because he put this together in a very quick amount of time. I was actually surprised that he was able to pull it off. And he had reached out to other towns to see what they were paying. I know that we have not, that the price has almost doubled, if not doubled, whatever it is.
Mm-hmm.
But at the same time, we have not had anything going for at least 2 years. And if you compare it to other camps, it's relatively, it's right in line with what everybody else is doing. And if you compare it to other private camps, it's actually a bargain compared to, I'll give you an example. The Englewood Field Club has a camp, which my kids were also enrolled in. And the price difference was so much better here in town that we considered even pulling them out of there. So I don't think, unfortunately, the prices of everything have just risen dramatically, especially in the last few months. So it's not like we've had something to compare it to even last year, but I suspect that the cost of inflation is what really has driven the price higher. And I think that the council will be happy to know that there has been a huge response to this, an overwhelming response. And I think that the numbers are back to where they even were. I don't want to mislead anybody, but there has been a very good deal of the reception was just really fantastic to this, and I really commend the job that Marco had done. And he had also it could have been a lot more expensive, but what he did was they broke it off where there's one basic package, and then you can even add things a la carte. And when you and the things that they have added are really a great value to the residents. So I hope that answers all of your questions.
Just about, Tim, one thing, like if you take your enrollment in the summer camp pre-COVID, okay, the numbers that you would get pre-COVID compared to the numbers that you're getting now, is it comparable, more or less?
Well, I know that I don't know the answer to that question. I do know that the counselors that we hired this go around are the very same counselors that did it pre-COVID. And they were from what I understand, they were very satisfied with the turnout.
Okay. All right.
I'm also happy to announce that we've opened up the counselors to residents in this town. So it'll give the opportunity for the children to get a good summer job.
Yeah, we always did that. We always did that.
Yeah.
It's a given.
Yeah, as I said, they've always been open to the town.
Okay, I just want to add about the cost. Last year, my grandchildren were by us for 4 months, and we sent them to summer camp in Demarest. $500 a week per child.
And this is $600 for the summer.
Yes, $500 a week. It went by the week, $500 a week.
Yeah,
and here you're asking for $600 a month. It's a bargain.
$600 for the entire camp. I think it's I don't know how long it is. 6
Are you
weeks, whatever.
serious?
About 6 weeks.
Wow.
I think it's 6 weeks.
I would
It's
like
a bargain.
if,
So the 6 weeks, it breaks down to $100 a week.
Oh, wait.
Mrs.
Okay,
O'Shea,
take
are
a
you
vote.
finished?
Yes, I am. Thank you.
Thank you. Thank you, everyone.
Councilman has his hand up.
Mr. Di Gregorio, what would you like to add?
just very quickly, if I'm quite sure, I know that there are hardships in town, and if there is some way to offer some sort of scholarship or those kind of things in a very discreet way, I think that would speak very well of the program. And also want to thank Mr. Sango for giving our children opportunities to work, which I think is very cool. Thank you.
David, that's something you bring up a good point. I don't know if we could pull something like that off this year, but it's something that we should definitely explore for next year or going forward.
Thank you.
You know what you could do, Mr. Katrubis, is you could maybe do an email blast to the town if anybody wants to donate to a fund that we could use to defray the cost of anybody that's got a hardship. I'm sure there's people out there who would want to contribute to a good cause and help the community. So I don't think that requires much. It's an email, and if you want to help defray the cost, you're welcome to contribute to it.
Yeah, that's something I'll definitely bring up to Marco, and we'll see if we can get that moving.
Okay. Good. I think I need a motion to close the public portion of this.
I'll make the motion.
Second.
Okay. All in favor?
Yes.
Aye.
Could I have a motion to approve 22-07, amending fee schedule to recreation ordinance?
So moved.
Second.
All in favor?
Councilman Di Gregorio? Councilman Di Gregorio?
Yes.
Councilman Luciano?
Yes.
Councilmember Park?
Yes.
Councilmember Begets?
Yes.
Council President Katrubis?
Yes.
Could I have a motion to open to the public?
So moved.
I'm sorry, let me finish speaking, please. If you're in a rush and have something else to do, go do it. Could I have a motion to open to the public for 22-08, amending fee schedule to towing ordinance?
I'll make the motion.
Second.
All in favor?
Yes.
So if there's anyone from the public who wishes to be heard on 22-08, amending fee schedule to towing ordinance, please raise your hand. I don't see anyone, so can I have a motion to close the public portion?
I'll make the motion.
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Okay, can I have a motion to approve ordinance 22-08?
I'll make the motion.
Second.
Councilman Di Gregorio?
Yes.
Councilman Luciano?
Yes.
Councilmember Park?
Yes.
Member Begets?
Yes.
Council President Katrubis?
Yes.
Okay, I just want to do a little housekeeping in terms of the planning board. I don't think I ever actually formally did this at a meeting, and I'm supposed to do this at a public meeting as a point. I want to move alternate member Tim O'Shea to class 4 member. And I don't think, I believe there's no council approval required for that. So that's now done. Is there any new business that anyone wants to speak about, or old business?
I just want to, can I have the floor just for a moment?
Sure.
Yeah, I just want to take a moment to congratulate Ms. Borchers on her new appointment.
Thank you.
Here, here.
Thank you to all.
Best of luck.
Okay, great. Good luck. Congratulations.
Yep.
Have a motion to adjourn?
I'll make the motion.
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Okay. We are adjourned. Have a
Have a good night, everyone.
good
Bye-bye.
rest of the week.
Have a good night.
Everyone.
Good
Bye-bye.
night.
Okay, welcome back to the public. Thank you for waiting. Can I have a motion to come out of closed session, please?
I'll make the motion.
Have a second? All in favor?
Yes.
Aye.
Okay, anyone opposed? No, okay. So next on our agenda is item number 6, 2022 municipal budget introduction. Mr. Rath, you and your team have done a very good job on the budget. I appreciate all your work. We're just slightly above neutral. If you could get us to neutral or less than last year in terms of taxes, that'd be great. Appreciate that. That said, resolution 22-131, approve self-examination of budget.
Well, Mr. Mayor, let's go back to the actual, let me make sure I have my order here.
Well, we do the approval first, and we could do that.
Yeah, okay. I'm sorry. Go ahead, Mr. Mayor. I got juxtaposed here.
No problem. So I think we need to vote on 22-131,
Yeah.
which is the approval for self-examination of budget. And Mr. Mensch, interject if I need to do something differently here, but can I have a motion to approve that?
I will make a motion.
I'll second.
Okay, can I have a roll call?
Can we have discussion?
You can have a discussion if you want.
So this is for the introduction of the budget.
No, this is for 131.
Self-certification, okay, I'll reserve, I'll start.
I'm sorry, I didn't hear you. Can you repeat what you just said?
I'm done. I thought it was on the other one because I have questions, but go ahead. I'm through speaking. Thank you, sir.
Got it. Great. Always good to hear from you. Can I have a roll call, please?
Member Di Gregorio? Councilman Di Gregorio?
He's muted.
No.
You're voting no to self-examination?
Self-examination.
Yes, I'm voting no.
Okay.
Member
No,
Luciano? Member Park?
Yes.
Member Begets?
Yes.
Member Katrubis?
Yes.
Councilmember Kapsakis is absent.
Okay. Did Luciano vote no on that?
Yes.
Okay, I couldn't hear him. Okay.
I did, Kranjak. I voted no.
I'm sorry, you were mumbling, so I didn't hear you. 22-132.
Long as she heard it.
Approving the introduction of the 2022 municipal budget with a public hearing on July 13th, 2022. And Mr. Rath, I think you wanted to do you want to speak now or during discussion?
At council's pleasure. I mean,
everybody okay if Mr. Rath tease this up for us? Okay,
Sure.
Go ahead, Mr. Rath.
okay. So I'm just gonna. Oh, so this is a summary of the budget, similar to what you had seen earlier. I also want to thank Doug Triplett and Maria from the auditor's office for all their hard work. But as you can see, if I go down the line items, the general appropriations increase is a modest, goes from 15,215,767 in 2021 to 15,316,175,000 under the proposed budget. So it's a modest increase of 0.7%. Everybody is aware that of the inflation rate being 7 to 8% this year. So I think that reflects well on your department's efforts to bring budgets in line with previous years. Your total appropriations increase is 21 million, from 21,154,000 to 21,399,514, or 1.2%. Again, the biggest increase that we talked about is that you are utilizing and you're leveraging both your ARP monies and your grants to probably do the most extensive capital program that you've done in several years. So most of that increase is due to your the residual in capital, but you're doing a lot more capital this year. The municipal tax rate would go up from 0.464 to 0.471 under this proposed budget. So you'd have an increase in the levy of 306,000, which would be a percentage increase of 1.45%. So very modest, given the inflationary factors that you're addressing at this time. In addition to that, I'd like to go over some analysis we did for the CAP bank and the CAP. Where would I find that?
The second slide.
Second slide. That's it. So a couple things here. There's two sets of caps, and one's essentially the appropriations cap. You are well below that at almost $1 million. So you're in very good shape in regards to your appropriations cap. The same can't be said of your tax levy cap. You're at your tax levy cap. You would still have a cap bank of 186,644 going forward. That's a little bit less than what you would want to see in a municipality where you are. So you'd have to continue to monitor that. What is essentially saying is that you're relying on your tax levy and your property taxes more than other revenues. If you went back to the original sheet that I sent that I provided when I did the first budget discussion, you receive about 4.5% in state revenues. The average for municipalities is closer to 7 to 8%. One of that is just simply the wealth of the community. So, but yet you're still dealing with the same levy cap that all municipalities are dealing with. But you're obviously going to rely more on your tax levy. All of that said, the most important thing to do is continue with the practice of not appropriating more in fund balance than what you reap in fund balance every year. So the $1.2 million that we're talking about in using in fund balance is exactly what you replenished from the previous year. Again, you just need to continue to monitor your cap and make sure that you keep that cap bank healthy. That's the way I can put it. So that would be one area I continue to work with.
Thank you for that.
That's all I have, Mr. Mayor.
Is it basically a matter of, based on what you said, that our residents, our town is getting less back from the state than other municipalities?
Well, probably not other municipalities that are in the same demographics as you are.
So anyone similarly situated to us.
Yeah.
So it's, I went a whole week without finding another way that taxpayers at Englewood Cliffs are getting wronged by the state. Thank you. You just gave me another reason.
Well, that wasn't. Yeah, it's an observation, but
I'm political. You're not. So, but you're giving me facts that if you read them, you're basically saying our taxpayers get less back from the state than other taxpayers. So, just because they go to work and they work hard. So that's welcome to New Jersey. Okay. And I see some people shaking their heads yes, and some people shaking their heads no. And I like that.
My hand is up.
Okay. Did you want to?
I have a question.
So, Mr. DiGregorio, hold the thought because we're going to have discussion after introduction. So, Mr. Rath, are you finished? Because then I could just have a motion.
I am Mr. Mayor. I am Mr. Mayor.
Mr. DiGregorio, just hold your thought for 1 minute. Is there a motion to introduce this budget, please?
I'll make the motion.
Is there a second?
Second.
Thank you. Okay, let's have discussion. Mr. DiGregorio, go ahead.
Mr. Raths, thank you for all your work and your professionalism. Could you indicate the total litigation costs that's been built into this budget? And could you also let us know what the litigation was last year?
I can. If you go to it's called what we call the long sheets here. Give me just a second to pull that up. That's your budget detail. And I'll give you the page here in just a second. Short page doing. Now, I thought for a second maybe it was on a short page, but it's not. Okay. Okay, so last year you expended, including what you expended in your COA, what was called COA litigation, which was a separate line item. You expended right at $2 million. This year, the appropriation would be, which I included the COA litigation in the overall litigation line item. The amount would be $2,098,000, which is an increase right now of $190,000 over what you appropriated last year. And primarily most of that was under a line item called Oprah litigation, which it took me some work to find out what that's about. And that was because you were receiving so many Oprah complaints that your previous attorney for Oprah thought that you would be headed towards litigation. So that's why that appropriated. That has nothing to do with the effort and the time that the clerk puts into handling Oprah requests.
Plus, they hired another employee, correct? To handle
That's not
Oprah.
Well, that employee does far more than just Oprah.
But I know a lot of his day is Oprah.
Yes, but he's not
Yes,
paid
and
out of
this
this
also has
account.
to be taken into account for Oprah expenses.
Right,
You know, dumped in this town.
So so we're looking at $2.1 million. That's about 10% of our total budget. Is that, am I calculating correctly there? I think
that
so.
That would be accurate, yes.
Okay, so that's a big chunk, and I'm not going to disclose what we were talking about in closed session, but this is exactly what I'm talking about. We need to substantially reduce our litigation and our liability and start expending that money or saving that money on in return to the taxpayers. I think that a lot of emotion that has gone into a lot of the lawsuits, and that emotion has cost Englewood Cliffs huge amounts of money. And I think it's time that we bring it to an end and become sensible. And that's just my opinion. So I cannot support this budget with that exorbitant amount of litigation.
So I'd like to jump in here.
Of course you will.
Gregorio, it sounds like you're writing a political flyer on the fly here, but let me just say this much. This budget is just about neutral to last year. And I think what we can actually do is eliminate just about all of the $190,000 for Oprah litigation and make it actually a year where we have a tax reduction for our residents. And I should also add, Mr. DiGregorio, that when you and your political allies ran this town, you had litigation at about $5 million.
You stop with your
was
politics.
okay then, and it was okay then, but now it's not. So even with $2 million, we're still tax neutral. I'm proposing, Mr. Rass, just go back and relook at that 190, because I think Oprah litigation has run its course, and we don't need that much in there. We can actually deliver for the second or third time in the last 6 years a tax cut to our residents, which, Mr. DiGregorio, you should be all in favor of, right?
Actually, I am. And with all due respect, if we had let you hire your New York City law firm at $1, we would have had a 30% we would substantially more.
Okay, so you said 30%. Explain that number, please. Where does that number come from?
All I'm saying is that
No, you said 30%. So now you're in front of the public.
stopped
Explain the number that you just threw out. Explain it.
we stopped you from
You're
spending.
not able to, are you? Because you just pulled that number out of.
You
Oh, no.
want to maybe let him answer.
Not able, that was not legally able to practice in New Jersey. And you as an attorney should have known better.
So the council actually approved them, number one. Number two, the judicial system worked against them. Everybody gets admitted pro hoc vice except in Bergen County when it comes to Englewood Cliffs. And number three, you just said 30%. I've asked you 3 times to substantiate that number, and you're unable to because you just pull things out of the air.
Cadwalader would have cost, and I would like to get the $100,000 back that we paid them. So Cadwalader
I would
was
like to get the $2 million you paid to Al Wunsch back.
your baby, and you spearheaded that. You are the one who had the good friend in New York City law firm paying $1,200 an hour. So
We were not paying $1,200 an hour. So again, you're lying to the public.
hey,
1,500 actually.
No, again, you're lying to the public also. It was a fixed fee, okay?
Everybody, please look at the bill.
Yeah, it was a fixed fee. It's not
Is
at
at the
that
end of
rate.
the bill, if they
And
don't,
by the
if they
way,
don't
had
redact
they
it out
been
for you,
had they been
you'll see
permitted
their
to
rate.
finish their work, had they been permitted to
1,200.
finish their work along with their local council in New Jersey, Stone and Maganini, they all did a very fine job.
They
The
lost
town would be
everything.
much better off today than it is right now, but you all stopped it.
So,
Oh.
so may I interject just with an observation on the legal fees? Mayor, you may be correct. There may be some adjustment in there, and we can work on trying to bring this down a little bit. I'm not sure if we'll get less than last year, but we'll do our effort. The thing about the legal fees is that you're paying for, when you talk about reducing legal fees from one year to the next, you're not paying for services that are coming on. You're essentially paying for cases that you're already involved in. So it's difficult to extricate yourself in June and reduce your budgeted amount for the remainder of the year. Not to say that your legal fees are could not use some sharpening and a reduction, but it's that you're really carrying, it's a longer process than just simply just reducing a budget line item. It's about reducing what you've got moving in your litigation front. If
Well,
that
it's
makes
also
any
not
sense.
getting sued, right? Everybody does their job, complies with Oprah, and we're not going to get sued, right? So
No.
that's the other way to deal with it.
So that's. I mean, obviously, there's many reasons, and all of them good, not to vote for a budget. I mean, I'm not trying to persuade anybody. I think we put a pretty good product here, but I just think that sometimes it just takes a little discussion for you folks to understand why you're appropriating almost $2 million in legal fees. Or
Yeah,
$2
so
million.
thank you for that. I think you guys actually did a very, very good job, and I do
I would-
appreciate it.
would
The
like to
thing
say-
though is,
I'm not-
just so I understand the process, if we approve the introduction, can we still come back?
Yes,
with the approval and have some adjustments to it?
yes, that's correct.
Okay.
How much, what percentage before you have to reintroduce?
or excuse me, one more thing. In
I'd
clo-
have to go back and check.
I think it's
don't think
10%.
it'll be
You
there.
change the budget by 10%.
We're not
Yeah,
changing it by 10%, but.
And I'm not
Go ahead,
going to
Mr.
be anywhere near that.
Yeah, we're not doing that. Mr. Di Gregorio, go ahead.
So in closed session, you were prodding us on to all spend $50,000 according to our borough attorney.
That's closed session, so you really should be careful about what you say next. Think very carefully, think very hard,
Well, if you
and
can release
understand
tapes
that
to
there
the
will be
press, it's for
ramifications.
what's
I know
closed session.
exactly- I know exactly what I'm saying. So you wanted to spend $50,000 of the taxpayers' money on a losing litigation. So what I'm saying is care. You're putting your ideology
You're putting your feelings before what you should be doing.
You
David.
should let him finish.
money.
Well, he shouldn't be speaking about closed session.
You should let him finish.
So I'm
You
not,
were warned, David, you were warned just now.
Let him finish,
So glad.
please.
I'm just saying simply what you are advocating for in
We
closed.
are advocating to protect our
discussing.
taxpayers from the garbage onslaught of the state of New Jersey and what it does to these taxpayers and the people who are involved in it, other law firms and elsewhere and developers. We are trying to protect our taxpayers, not your political party, David. We're trying to protect our
Why
taxpayers.
can't you just leave
Get
it
that
off at
through your
protecting your
head.
taxpayers instead of continuing to say you're friends? Because you know what?
We
David
are
wasn't
trying
on
to
the
protect
council.
our
I
taxpayers.
wasn't on the council. So why don't you stop your rhetoric as well?
No. Our taxpayers
Gloria
need to be protected. And there is no one else that's going to do this except Begets, Katrubis, Park, Kasaskis, and myself.
There you
You
go.
and Luciano.
They're all back on the
you and
favor side.
Luciano are
You're all
not
on the
going to
favor
protect
side now.
anyone except
Rath,
the
can I
people
ask you a
who
question,
control
please?
you.
How much money do we have in the litigation line for potential exposures of litigation? And what I mean by that is the potential exposure of having to pay fees and
You have
costs.
the
and all
document
this.
in front of you.
Mr. Mayor, if you'd let one
So you have,
person
okay,
on the council finish, we would greatly appreciate without your interruption.
You
So,
have the document.
Mr. Rath, if you could please tell me if is there any, I mean, we know, even though it's up in the air right now, we know we have at least $250,000 exposure for potential.
are you talking
fees and
about
costs.
penalties and awards?
Yes, sir.
Okay. Your litigation expense isn't the appropriation doesn't cover. I'm sorry. You could pay minor expenses out of there, but if you had a big case, you're not going to budget that money because you don't know when it's going to happen. You don't know how much it's going to be for. What you're going to have to do is doing what you've done in the past, and what many municipalities do is you have to do an emergency authorization, and then you're probably going to do bans. That's how most municipalities that I know of handle significant litigation costs, and that's not attorney's fees. Which is what this appropriation is normally for, is for attorney's fees. But for actual litigation cost, you do it that way. The other thing, council member, is you have insurance. And insurance will pay, on a number of cases, will pay a portion of the fee that are awarded. And I don't know that. I can tell you this. One of the things I'm trying to do is get a handle on simply some of the litigation and some of the costs that you have. And I'd like to get that done before I depart, but it's not really going to impact this budget.
Mr. Rath, if we have just a question, if we have a liability of $300,000 and our deductible is $300,000, how much do the taxpayers pay?
Under that, you'll pay $300,000.
Thank you very much. My other question is how many new hires are in this budget for the DPW?
There's 3 new positions in for the DPW because of the breakage in service. He's had some retirements. You actually are doing that with less salary than you had last year.
So how many people are leaving on the breakage that you're referring to?
Okay, you have 3 people breaking, and you're getting 3 people, which is the number that the DPW director was looking for, because he's had some vacancies for a while.
Right, so we're really not improving the DPW because he's losing 3, he's getting 3. He's still at the same number this year where he's saying that he's down on staff.
And the reason he's down on staff is because he's had some retirements. I went over this with the DPW director, and he was on board and okay, and was glad to see the budget the way it is right now, because he's had some vacancies throughout the year, and this will bring in new bodies to fill those vacancies. But you had the salary savings in their annual budget. I hear what you're saying, but the 3 and 3 brings it to neutral. And months ago, before you were here, he was saying that he was down at least 7 people from when he was fully staffed. So if he's losing 3 and he's getting 3, and I'm not looking to debate it with you, but I'm just saying if he's losing 3 and getting 3, to me, he's coming back to neutral. And if we're still at neutral, then, this year, how many times did we have to stop the recycling collection because someone was out, or we had to reschedule this? So that's the only reason why I'm asking. Thank you.
can I
Yeah,
just-
my other question is, no, you
please
let me
stop.
finish, then you
No,
can
hold on a
jump in.
second. Let me just
How
clarify.
much money,
because,
how much
again,
money is in,
again,
how
let's
much
be
money is in the
factually correct.
budget for
We,
the
hold on a
fence?
second.
We
Hold
have
on
a broken
second.
fence around the
Hold
borough
on,
hall.
hold on, Mr.
Can
Luciano.
you tell me how much money
Mr.
is in the
Luciano, you
budget?
just said something
to
that wasn't
repair-
true.
To
The
repeat, well, you can
garbage
comment at the
collection-
end, Mr. Mayor.
Recycling collection
You
was
can comment
missed
at the
because
end,
of a
Mr. Mayor.
storm.
You can
It was
comment at
missed
the
because
end,
of a
Mr. Mayor. So,
storm
Mr.
and
Ratz,
because of
how much
COVID,
money, how
okay?
much money is in the
Mr.
budget to repair
Luciano,
the
be
fence that's
clear,
broken
be
around the
accurate,
borough
and be
hall?
honest with the public.
How
Do not
much
lie to
money-
the public.
how
because
much
I am
money-
going to smash you every time.
How much money? You
Okay,
can
you're
smash,
getting
you can
smashed
smash
right
your head
now.
against the wall. I really don't care.
Recycling was postponed a day because of a COVID issue, and I think there was a storm issue. It wasn't because he
Whatever it
didn't have
is,
enough
what are you
people.
losing? What did you losing your mind about? You know, it
No,
was
I'm not losing my
postponed.
mind. I just
I'm
want to
looking
have,
about the
I want the record
DPW being
clean.
down
I
7
don't want you
members,
disparaging our
and 3 and
DPW.
3 equals
I
0 to
don't
me.
want you disparaging our DPW.
I'm not
Mr.
disparaging
Luciano.
anything.
It's
If
disgraceful
anything,
what
I'm
you
trying.
do.
If you would shut the heck up,
It's
what I'm trying to
disgraceful
do
what you do. These are
is
hardworking
enhance.
people.
What I'm
These are
trying to
hardworking
do is
people, and yet
enhance.
even they could get
Enhance.
COVID.
Unlike
What
you,
is wrong
Chipmunk,
with you?
is what I'm trying to
You
do
are
is
a
enhance
disgrace.
you're a disgrace and you're a pathetic jerk and everybody
Oh,
knows
here
it.
we go. Name
calling, I
Here
know.
we go. The name
Because
calling.
you have an innate ability to get under people's skin because you're an
Because
arrogant,
I
belligerent,
want you to speak the
petulant
truth.
person.
I
That's
want
all.
you to speak
So
the
if you
truth.
let someone
And you're not
finish and
used
shut
to-
up like
in
you
your
tell me,
thug world, you're
shut
not used
up
to
and let
having
us
people
talk.
tell you that you're not telling the truth, and that's all
Right.
I'm here to do.
So let me go back to this. Let me go back to the
Mr.
DPW status.
Ratz, once again, I have a
Let Mr. Ratz
question
answer the
about how
question,
much
please.
how
Let
much
Mr. Ratz
money is
answer
in
the
the
question.
budget to repair the fence around Borough Hall?
Okay,
Let Mr.
if-
Rath answer the question.
Council member, if nobody tells me that the fence around Borough Hall needs to be repaired, then I can't appropriate money for that.
Mr.
However-
Ratz, please don't take my questions as personal.
No,
towards you.
I know. I'm just letting you know.
Okay, but you're sounding like it. I'm asking you questions that are personal
Did
towards
send
you.
an email to
Okay,
that
especially
effect,
with your
Mr.
answer. My question is, I only go by the DPW or the Borough Hall rarely, and
Right, but
I've
someone's
noticed for the
feeding you these lines.
Mr. Mayor,
Did
if you could
tell us about
please
it? No.
sit back and
You
quiet
never told us
yourself
about
and
it.
let someone else speak. It would greatly be. I know you love it because you're going to give us that little chipmunk smile right there that
Right,
you
'cause
love because you're an arrogant
You
person.
know why I did that?
You're an
To prove the
arrogant,
point.
belligerent person.
I
So
wanted
if
to
you
prove
could
the
let
point that
someone
you're a
finish,
stalker because you
So,
have
Mr.
your
Rath,
camera off.
Council
the
You're
member,
ability-
watching us.
so it's
That makes
not
you a
a
stalker, Mr.
question of
Luciano.
you. My question is just of the budget itself. It's not personal towards you.
so-
And if you don't know about it, the answer is, you know what, Glenn, I don't know how much is in the budget because no one
Stop
requested it.
it.
no,
That's
no,
all.
I can tell you there's nothing in the budget for it because
Thank
nobody
you.
requested it.
Thank you,
It's a
sir.
repair.
Okay.
Mr.
That's
Luciano,
all.
since you're
However, can I interject? I'm not frustrated with your questions, council member. I'm frustrated with the deliberation. First of all, when I meet with a department head, which I did with the DPW director, we went over every piece of information. We went over the personnel. We came up with that number. So I'm not sure why it's different than what has been expressed in the past, but I can find out because it's regardless of whether you vote for the budget or not, it's a question that needs to be addressed.
Thank you, sir.
All right. So I have no difficulty with that. It's the fence. The fence is, I'm still trying to figure out where this fence repair needs to be done.
Well, if you look along the fence line between the fire department and Clenendon, the fences, the DPW knocked it off when I shouldn't say DPW because then I'll be picking on DPW.
How do you-
But whoever plowed the snow pushed the fence through and it's hanging over. It's being held up by straps since the winter. If you look at the fence,
Well, if it's
look at the fence. Wait, let me finish. If you look
Sure.
at the fence between
Ridiculous.
the administration building and the police department where the gate is, that whole fence there has been pushed over like 3 feet. So
Okay.
all anybody has to do is walk through it. I'm sure Mark knows about it. And you know what? We spent all this money to put this pen around the Borough Hall, and now it's damaged within 1 year.
Congratulations, Mr. Luciano. Rather than just send an email to a borough administrator saying, hey, there's a problem with the fence, can you repair it? You had to have your big moment publicly.
What's the big
Talk
moment?
about
I'm
it.
asking
Fence
about the
repair
budget.
in the
If
middle
you
of the
noticed
budget
it,
discussion.
Nah,
How
you
do you
just,
think
you
that
know what,
fence is
you're
gonna
just
cost?
you're just a jerk, like
Maybe
you
a
know
couple
everybody
$100.
knows. So just keep
I'll
going.
speak.
Is that
I'll
the
speak-
highlight of the night for you? that you're
Yeah,
talking
that was the
about
highlight.
intent
You know what the
there?
highlight of the night is,
Why-
Mayor?
why couldn't you
I'm
just
asking
send me
questions about the budget, and you're sitting there like a lemming. So
Listen,
that's what's important
Actually,
to
no,
me.
I'm not a lemming. I'm the one that wants to cut the cost of the taxes. But
So-
listen, if there's anyone on council that sees something wrong around Borough Hall, around the town, you see a car parked in the backyard, whatever,
Blah, blah,
report it.
blah. See a car parked in the
Report it.
backyard.
Report
That's
it.
funny.
Don't wait for the big moment at the.
How about the
council
Chaffee
meeting.
property?
The public
That
could
no one's
care
done
less.
anything since you've been the
The
mayor.
public could care less about your little fence problem, Mr. Lucy.
All right.
It's not my
I-
fence problem. It's the
Okay.
town's fence problem.
Let me
They
let
don't
me
get fixed.
And you spent
Everyone knows.
$15,000 to build a fence, and it's damaged within 1 year, and you haven't fixed
interject.
it.
Let me interject again. I don't know that it would raise itself to an additional appropriation in the budget, regardless, to address the fence problem. I
Okay,
will
so
talk to
can we just
Glenn.
get it fixed then?
Yes, I will. I will talk to Mark tomorrow. Send him an email tonight, asking him to look into it. I don't think. I'll look at it on my way out. It's probably something that would be handled within their normal appropriation.
Thank you, sir.
Chris, it's fine. This
Yeah.
is Mr. Luciano's big moment.
It's fine. The broken fence, the broken
It's fine.
guardrail,
It's gonna
50
get
tires, 50 tires at the gas station out front.
Mr. Rath, just make sure.
How every property almost in town that our property maintenance
Mr.
guy does
Rath.
nothing. It's
Mr.
all
Rath,
fine. It
just
has
make
nothing
sure-
to do with the beauty of our town.
Yeah, exactly. So, Mr. Rouse, just make sure that when you speak to Mr. Neville, you say, this is the most important thing in Mr. Luciano's life right now. Okay? Thank you.
I'm
May-
sure I can address it in a proper fashion, Mr. Mayor. Thank you.
May I please have the floor? Thank you very much. So first of all, I want everyone on this call to really pay close attention to Mayor Kranjak and exactly when he interrupts people. He tries to get people off course. He tries to knock people off course. When he hears something that he doesn't like, he'll interrupt instead of just sitting back and listening and then responding. So I will say that the word out in town here is that we are not looking like a pristine town. And this is not blaming anyone. This is basically saying that we have to pay more attention to the details in the town. And you got to spread the energy, spread the happiness, and we need to make sure that everything is done on a timely basis. Things that are out on the curb are picked up. We have to figure out a logical way where we can get that done. And meanwhile, we have a mayor who is rattling the cage about what the state is doing to us, and this is and that and everything else. So I just say, let's pay attention to the municipal business. That's something that the mayor has not done
We've done great, Mr.
since
Gregorio. We've done great.
you see.
Our DPW does a great job. Our police department does a great job. Our fire department does a great job. And our Borough Hall employees do a great job.
He's interrupted me. Just make note that he interrupted me. He can't keep quiet, and he can't let someone speak. He's kidding.
Well, because this is supposed to be a budget discussion, right? And now you're going far afield.
Notice he is talking over me,
This is supposed to be a budget discussion.
talking over me again.
Right.
So let
Do you have anything to discuss about the budget? Because we're on a schedule.
Mr. Luciano finish, and then you can respond. It's very simple.
Mr. Luciano finished before he started.
How many times have you interrupted me while I've had the floor?
See,
We're not
you know
speaking
what?
about the budget. I am in charge of keeping the meeting going, following the agenda, and making sure we stay on topic. There'll be time later on for you to browbeat me if you wish, but not right now.
Interrupt other people. That's why that's why all the
Do you
meetings
have any questions about the budget, Mr. DiGregorio?
turn into this very.
Do you have any questions about the budget?
You instigate, and you have to keep quiet when I'm
I
speaking.
don't have to do anything you say. What I have to do is keep you on track and focus and not look at the next shiny object.
I think we reached 10 at this point. 10 interruptions from Mayor.
Okay, put that in your newsletter next time. Did you have anything to say about the budget, Mr. DiGregorio?
So I am saying, and I'm agreeing with Mr. Luciano,
For sure.
we need to support the DPW. They need people. We need to get them people. We don't need to spend $50,000 on a pet litigation by Mayor Kranjak because he hates somebody.
I
That's
don't hate anyone. I don't hate anyone.
Now you can speak. I'm done.
Good,
No.
you're done. Okay, so
Laura,
look,
can you stop sharing your screen
you
so we
hadn't
can
had
get back
any-
to seeing the mayor's big
you
fat head
had
on
no
the- all
actual
by
details
himself?
about the budget just now, Mr. Di Gregorio. This
That's-
is all sound bites for Karen Geiger's next
Yeah.
newsletter.
There-
all right?
Mr. Kranjak, do you have any questions on the budget?
I've
Are there-
asked them all. Mr. Rass and I have.
So
had
you're
several
you're fine
discussions
with
this
everything.
week.
Good. So we should be able to ask you
Now, let me
questions and you
finish.
can
You asked
answer.
me a question. I'm answering your question. Mr. Rass and I had discussions about the budget. I think he did a great job. He's answered all my questions. The only thing I asked about is the $190,000 for Oprah litigation, which I think we don't need, and we could actually give the taxpayers of this town a tax cut by eliminating that. Let the record reflect that Mr. Di Gregorio pontificated but didn't say anything regarding the budget. This is still a discussion on the budget. If there's no other discussion, Mr. Park, do you have anything to ask?
Well, Mr. Kranjak, we'll come to you since you and the
Oh,
administrator have talked. We'll come to
more
you for our
question.
questions.
We can
No
also
question,
take
Mr.
this
Park,
time, right?
okay.
Right.
Mr. Katrubis, do you have any issues or comments?
I have no comments.
Okay, Ms. Begets, do you have any questions or comments?
No, I don't.
Okay, okay. Can we have a roll call, please?
Member Di Gregorio?
No.
I'm sorry, I didn't hear.
Well, Ms. Baguette, are you voting for us? You can say that twice then.
I didn't hear Mr. Di
didn't
Gregorio.
Ms. Baguette's voted no for him, so it's all right.
What?
I didn't hear Mr. Di Gregorio. Can you repeat your answer on the vote?
Excuse me, I just had to step away. We're voting on the budget.
Yes.
On
The introduction of the
yes,
budget.
sir.
For the reasons that I stated, I am voting no.
You stated that you didn't like me, so you're voting no. Okay, next.
That's not,
Member Luciano?
I am
I don't
responding.
like the mayor either, so I'm voting no.
I don't think that the litigation,
Okay,
Member Park?
keep going.
Yes.
Member Begets?
Yes.
Passes absent. Council President Katrubis?
Yes.
Okay,
Okay, passes.
the budget has been introduced. The public hearing will be on July 13th, 2022. Department reports, everyone's received them on council. This is the police department report and the building department report. If you have any questions regarding those reports,
I'd like to have them added to the minutes of the report, please.
I'm sorry, just relay your questions to Mr. Raths.
Well, I'd like to have those added to the minutes of our meeting, please.
What do you want added?
The department head reports,
The department head reports.
like I requested last month.
Oh, this is this month.
No, like, well, I'm just refreshing your
Public
memory.
comment, have a
So
motion to
this
open to the
month,
public.
I'm making the same request that I made last month to have the department head reports added to the minutes of this month.
I understand. Can I have
I'm
a
glad
motion
you
to open-
caught that. I'm glad I said
Can I have a
so enough
motion to
for you.
open to the public, please?
I want to make a motion.
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Okay, if there's anyone from the public who wishes to be heard, please virtually raise your hand. And Mr. Rass, can you
I'll take this off.
take
Sorry.
it off and thank you. That's great. What by the way, Mr. Rass, what was the net impact to household? Was it 100?
Right now, it's $122.
$122. Okay, so that's
Yep. I'm sorry,
$122 increase by household.
$112, Mayor.
112. Okay, doing great. You're very close. You're very close, Mr. Rath.
It is 122, but we'll see what we can do.
Okay, all right, thanks. I see Mrs. O'Shea's hand is up. Mrs. O'Shea, please, you have the floor.
Yes, thank you, Mayor. I'd like to say just a couple of quick things. I printed the agenda so I could follow the meeting, and none of the on the municipal budget introduction just says 22-22-. It didn't have any number following it. And then when you go to the consent agenda, it's the same thing, 22, 22, 22. And none of those resolutions were included online that we could see what they are. There's just listed there. There's nothing on the agenda, nothing included, no detail. And then number 14 on the adoption of the ordinances. These ordinances had been on the previous agenda where everybody went home early. They were never introduced. So I believe you have to re-advertise it before you can't adopt it because it was never introduced. It was never introduced. So you need to re-advertise it and then introduce it properly. You cannot vote on that tonight as an adoption. Okay.
June.
All right.
Introduced on
There was a-
19th.
It's special.
Pardon me?
It was introduced at the special meeting on. the
Yeah,
19th.
yeah. There wasn't on anything on the 19th.
We had a meeting.
I know you had a
meeting.
meeting, but it wasn't on there. It wasn't on the agenda.
I don't, you have to go.
Was not on the agenda. Okay? So just to bring it to your attention so that you don't run into trouble.
Can we just have council opinion on that?
Okay? Now, I would also like to,
We just did.
pardon me? Hello?
Yeah, Ms. O'Shea, can you just hold your thought for a minute? I want to ask Mr. Mensch for guidance.
The introduction of ordinances does not need to be advertised beforehand. It just needs to be advertised after it was introduced. So as long as these ordinances were advertised following the meeting on the 19th, then there is no bar to
Yes, that's what it
voting
was.
on them tonight.
Not sit
But
up.
they were never introduced.
I believe
Yeah,
that they were voted on at the meeting on the 19th.
Yeah.
I don't think they were.
Can you pull it up again?
I'm sorry, Ms. O'Shea. I don't recall specifically. I do believe they were. Ms. Borchers can
Now,
verify.
if the minutes were done on a timely basis, we could just refer back to the minutes and say, oh, yeah, here it was done, you know? I listened to some of the recordings today and I didn't hear it. So I'm just, putting you on notice. I could be wrong, but you could also be wrong.
And you're absolutely correct, Ms. O'Shea. And if you are correct, and the council votes tonight to for final approval of them, and we subsequently determine that they weren't voted on, then we'd have to, they would not be properly passed, and we'd have to start from scratch.
Start all over.
Can
Correct.
can we just check that while we're here tonight so we could either reintroduce them or approve them?
This was introduced on May 11th. We did not do the adoption on the last meeting. So we advertised to have the adoption done today.
And Ms. Borchers, which ones? Are these 2205 through 08 or?
Yes, 2205 to 208.
Okay, so they were introduced. And so, Mr. Mensch, if they were, then everything is fine to approve tonight?
Yes, sir.
Okay. All right. I'm going to move on. I'd like to address Mr. Park. Mr. Park took it upon himself, probably at the direction of Mr. Katrubis, to send out a letter to the first district in Korean regarding the county committee. And I feel that Mr. Park and Mr. Katrubis have overemphasized the county committee, Republican County Committee. And Mr. Park told the Republican residents in the first district that they should not vote for me for county committee because that would give Mayor Mario Kranjak too much control. But what could the control that we have happening is Tim Katrubis want control. Tim Katrubis wants control of the county committee through Penny Rizzulli and through Mark Park's letter and the council. So Mr. Katrubis is the one who wants control of everything. Okay, I have Mr. Kranjak doesn't get any control from me by being on the county committee. Okay, the county committee's goal is to find candidates, which the county committee did not do. The county committee members are supposed to support candidates for election, which the county committee members did not do in the previous elections. And Mr. Park and Mr. Katrubis worked against Ms. Biez and Ms. Rizzulli in the previous election. So I really think that he is out of line, Mr. Park, and you should be ashamed of yourself. You are a disgrace. Thank you very much.
Mr. Park, would you like to respond?
No comment.
Now he has to wait till Tim Katrubis tell him what to say.
Okay, no, it's just my policy that if someone's attacked, to get to this.
Okay.
All right. So he had
Can you just, can you repeat that again, Mayor? When someone gets attacked, you let them speak? Please,
So Mrs. O'Shea, are you?
please keep that
I'm finished,
in
thank
mind
you.
next time,
Okay. Is
please.
there anyone else from the public who wishes to?
I was attacked too, Mr. Mayor.
I'm sorry, go ahead.
No comment.
Okay. Okay. Look, in case you guys haven't all woken up, I have no power. I don't vote. You guys control the council. So
But you take credit for
at
everything.
least be honest to everybody that, you know, it's not the mayor. It's the council that controls this town. And, you know, I get tagged with the bad stuff and I get tagged with the good stuff sometimes. So welcome to my world. Is there anybody else who wishes to be heard?
Seeing or hearing no one, I make a motion to close the meeting.
Okay, can I have a motion to close?
I think I just did that.
I didn't hear you.
I think I just did that.
Second.
If he did it, then it's seconded. All in favor?
Yes.
Okay, so
You
I
heard
had
that?
one. I had one person. Is there anybody opposing it? All right, no one. So we're at a closed session now. Next item is correspondence. There was a letter from Mr. Luciano. Please, you
Well, you
don't
said we're
have
at
the floor.
closed
I'm
session.
speaking.
All I'm saying is that we're
Speaking.
out of
Please.
public's portion, Mayor.
We don't need a
That's
narrator.
all.
We don't need a narrator.
That's all. I'm
especially
just
you,
correcting
okay?
you like you would correct everybody
We're
else.
out of the public comment section, okay?
Thank
We're
you.
in the correspondence.
Thank you.
We had a letter from Mr. and Mrs. Choi requesting removal of a sidewalk at 60 Hickory Street. I think they're one of the last people on that street with a sidewalk, according to our letter. Is this something, Mr. Mensch, that we need to approve, or is this something that the building department will take care of?
I off the top of my head, Mayor, I don't know, but certainly I think you should start with the building department and indicate whether they have an opinion on it. And if the council, if the borough wants to approve it, we can do it by resolution. But I would start with the building department, and I'm happy to follow up on that, Mayor, if you'd like me to do that.
Can we have a springing resolution now so our residents don't get delayed another month? Can we just say the council would approve it provided the building department approves it?
Oh, you could do that, sure. If you wanted to, you could.
Is there anybody willing to make that motion to help our residents with the sidewalk issue?
Sure, I'll make it.
Is there a second?
Second.
Could I do an all in favor?
Yes.
Yes.
Anyone opposed? Okay, so hearing no one opposed, the resolution is to approve the removal of the sidewalk in front of 60 Hickory Street, provided that our building department agrees with the council on that. Okay, so that way our residents will not be delayed.